Hey, what's going on, everyone? Ryan Meeks here with Living in Gilbert, Arizona YouTube channel. In today's video, we are talking about the biggest headlines here affecting Gilbert Arizonians, and there's quite a lot to unpack today, so you guys are really going to enjoy this video. I definitely encourage you to stay tuned, subscribe for future videos where we talk about what it's like to live, work, and play here in Gilbert, Arizona. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first thing we're going to talk about is the mayor of Gilbert, so I want to go through this with you guys and tell you all about it. So our first headline today, Gilbert mayor must get training on meetings. So an investigator investigated Bridget Peterson, who's the mayor of Gilbert, Arizona, found that she did not violate Gilbert's ethical policy for booting 3 critics from a previous meeting. However, the town council is forcing her to get training on how to chair a public meeting. So that's pretty hilarious. Since taking office in 2021, she's been the subject of 9 previous ethic violations. And I mean, you open up the Gilbert Sun News and it's all you read about is the fact that she has all of these ethical complaints. So between the board and the mayor, they definitely do not get along. There's always something happening. Latest complaint was filed by Dr. Brandon Riff and Ryan Handelsman, who publicly faulted her leadership. Peterson ordered police to remove 2 men and a woman from a meeting last year for silently holding signs in the back of the room that read "Stop Lying." So basically, an investigator came in here and investigated the mayor. The investigator, oddly enough, didn't interview any of the council members or anybody else. He only talked to the mayor, said it wasn't prudent to speak with anybody else. He reached his conclusion on his findings and found that nothing should happen to the mayor. So let's see what some of the town councilmen had to say. So Chuck Bongiovanni said, if we accept the findings of this report tonight, we'll be sending a message that our vote and our directives don't matter because we all know the investigation was not thorough and it's just our vote. And it isn't just our vote. It's the voice of every citizen in the great town of Gilbert who depends on the truth, even if it makes us look bad. Don Giovanni referenced Field's comment that he did not interview the councilman because he didn't find it would be fruitful to investigators. How can an investigator make a conclusion that interviewing us would not have been fruitful without interviewing us to determine whether our interviews would be fruitful? So definitely see what he's saying there. It's kind of crazy. He then continued, was the interview with the mayor so fruitful that he determined that interviewing us would not be fruitful? A lot of fruit happening here, as you can see. And Anderson voiced concern that the issue would rise to a First Amendment challenge and pointed to the fact that the town has already lost a case in the U.S. Supreme Court over free speech. In the Reed versus Town of Gilbert case in 2015, the court unanimously invalidated a town ordinance that treated signs differently based on their content. So pretty crazy. So let's see what else some council members said here. So this is the vice mayor that's speaking right here. What I will say is that the level of unrest and angry residents filling the temporary council chambers in the public safety training facility has escalated each meeting over several months, which resulted in additional security measures to be put in place. Based on that escalation, I can imagine the mayor became overwhelmed and acted poorly in a moment of frustration and anger. The bottom line is that removing people from the council chambers should always be the last resort. So the vice mayor is not agreeing with what the mayor did either. And then down at the bottom here, you can even see it says, it's unfortunate Mayor Peterson let her ego and temper get the best of her on the night she decided to trample on the First Amendment rights of me and other residents for peacefully holding small signs with a message she didn't like, which was "Stop Lying." So that was from one of the people that got kicked out. And Riff added that he and others would not have sued the town had the mayor offered an apology and $1. So I believe they are suing the town, according to this. Not sure for how much here, but they are suing the town for being kicked out. And our message to the town is clear. We want simply to prevent residents in the future from having their rights violated by any future mayor or council member who cannot control their emotions. So what do you guys think of this? Did the mayor overstep? Do the last 9 ethical complaints have anything to do with this? I haven't been to a board meeting myself. I'm probably going to start going, especially if I want to be giving you guys the news here and my spin on it, but definitely pretty crazy. Every other week, it feels like you're reading something about the mayor and ethical issues. And affecting quite a lot of Arizonians. They're not happy about this. This news just came out of nowhere. The Lukeville port of entry to Mexico will temporarily close starting today. So just today, you cannot go down to a you cannot go down to a super popular place called Rocky Point. So this is Puerto Penasco. For those of you not familiar with Rocky Point, it's basically a 3.5-hour drive from Phoenix down to Mexico, and there you can hang out at the Sea of Cortez, and it's a beautiful, basically it's a beautiful seaport village where a lot of people go down to vacation from Arizona, believe it or not, to get out of this cold winter weather that we have here in the desert, and obviously, to escape the summer heat. So not sure how long this is going to close for or be closed for, but the reason it's closing is to process all of these migrants that are coming through. Now, Fox News went down there, and at the time they went down, their Border Patrol agents said to them that they had 200 migrants that were waiting to be processed, with another 1,300 on the other side of the border waiting to get into Arizona. And here's the process that happens when they come to the state of Arizona. All you have to do is say that you're seeking asylum when you get to the border up to the agents, and what they'll do is they'll say, okay, here's your court date, head on into America. So it's a very easy process right now with these open borders for migrants to come across. So in order to process with the basically lack of enough Border Patrol agents and too many migrants coming over, they have to close this port of entry, and they're still letting migrants in. So Americans can't get out, but Mexicans can come to the United States, illegal immigrants, and God knows what they have with them. So that's what's going on. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. I think it's pretty freaking nuts. And definitely throwing a fork into Gilbert residents' plans to use water at their leisure. There is a really big proposed 2024 rate change for water, sewer waste, and recycling coming to Gilbert, Arizona. So in this story, we can see that residential customers on average can expect to see a phased-in increase to their water bills, starting with a 50% rate hike in the spring, as well as an $8.50 solid waste and recyclable collection increase. So $8.50 for waste, 50% total for your water bill. And in a 4-3 vote, Town Council did approve a phased-in water rate agreement that involves floating an $80 million bond that does not need vote approval. So basically, your water bill is going to be going up quite a bit, and residents here are not happy. We've already had a lot of HOA fees that are skyrocketing, going up quite a bit. I mean, it just seems like everything is going up. And of course, water always been sort of an issue here in Arizona, and that's going up as well. I feel really bad for the residents of Morrison Ranch who actually have a requirement to have grass and to water their lawns. Their bills are going to go up quite a bit, especially in the summer months, not only electricity, but also water. Can you imagine how much it's going to be? Well, you can actually, because there is a water bill calculator that we can look at. And just for Gilbert customers, they sort of threw this in there into this article on gilbertaz.gov's website. It says that the average monthly residential water bill will increase by $17 in April of 2024, and by another $13 in 2025, and then $16 in 2026. So that is quite a bit. So at least it's not the 50% hike all at once. It's going to be layered in there. So if we use this utility bill calculator, and I know my total is somewhere around $120 every month. So, putting that in here, that comes out to about 20,000 gallons that we're using per month. Pretty crazy. I know, I apologize. So 20,000 gallons per month is going to bring us up to a total monthly bill, if we look over here to the right, of $111. So that seems about right for us. And then under the new proposed bill, or it's not a bill, the new proposed water fee, it's going to be increased. The meter base fee goes up. The volume charge goes up, and that increases our total monthly bill. So that's going to go from $111 up to $146. So quite the increase, and this is happening all around the valley. It's not just Gilbert, but Gilbert did just break this news. So expect your water rates in Gilbert, Arizona to go up, up, up. And if you're making the move here, make sure you plan accordingly, not only for electricity, but also for water. And we can't end the newscast here without giving you guys a few crazy stories that have happened. One of them unfortunate, and then one of them just weird. So, a Chandler student is seriously injured in a promposal that went wrong. And if you guys aren't familiar with what a promposal is, well, that is where you have a unique or creative way of asking somebody to attend prom with you. Now, in this particular situation, what ended up happening is the student got permission from the principal and from someone in the police to run a stop sign. A police officer was then going to pull the student over, and then what would happen is the girl that he was with, he'd get out and ask her to prom. So that was the plan. So what ended up happening, though, in reality, so that wasn't what happened, is that the student ran a stop sign, and somebody riding a motorcycle sped and T-boned them, hit right into the side of their car. And according to police, according to the principal, he asked if he can do this, but never got permission. He never got a yes. So there's conflicting stories from the student and from police and from I believe it's the principal. So unfortunately, there's now a $1 million lawsuit happening because I guess this student was not critically injured, but injured badly enough to where it would warrant a $1 million lawsuit. So pretty interesting. If you're trying a promposal, please make sure every party that you know of is in cahoots. And if you're doing something like this, I'd recommend doing it where there's another stop sign and you're not going to, run into it and somebody's going to just run through that stop sign. The odds of that would be a lot lower if there was a stop sign there. So that's what ended up happening, and it's an unfortunate situation. Also in Mesa, we have some weird stuff going on here. We have a Mesa teacher who's resigning after dressing up as a devil during Spirit Week. So apparently the Spirit Week was supposed to dress up as dynamic duo, and this teacher dressed up as the devil. He kept going over the tops of kids' heads and saying things like, worship Satan, Satan's here with you. And a lot of kids were just getting kind of freaked out by it, saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. And, especially some kids who were a little bit more religious than others. So it led a father to call the principal. He went on administrative leave, and after going on administrative leave, has resigned. So don't dress up as the devil in class, people, and do weird stuff to your students. And there's been a lot of weird stuff going on. I don't know if I'm just reading some headlines, but it seems like everywhere we're looking, there's something going on with some, teachers getting fired for inappropriate conduct or just doing weird stuff. And we live in crazy times right now, and I think everybody's trying to express their emotions, and teachers should not be doing that to children. But that's what we're seeing going on here. And this Mesa teacher now resigned. And pleasing every golf lover's dream of playing at night, Grass Clippings Rolling Hills, which is located near the Papago Buttes, right by the Phoenix Zoo, Phoenix Botanical Gardens in Tempe, Arizona, is the first to offer night golf in Arizona. And I don't know if this is the first in the country, but really cool. 18-hole night golf course. The first weekend it was open, which was last weekend, it sold out completely. And one thing you'll notice in Arizona, just like everywhere else in the country, is that it starts getting dark pretty early. So this is definitely quite a niche that they've found, and it's an obvious need. So I believe there are 90 different lights throughout this course, and the last tee time is 10 p.m., and they keep the golf course open until midnight. So not only are they going to have a beautiful golf course that you're able to see at night, but it's all part of a $15 million renovation, which is going to include a new restaurant as well as upgrades to the driving range, to the pro shop, and the goal is to have this all complete by the end of 2024. But right now it is open. They are taking tee times and reservations. So, hey, if you get here late on that plane ride from your country of origin or city of origin that you're coming from here to Arizona, you can still play golf at night. And looking at the high-low real estate, I had to tell you guys something about real estate, right? So our lowest closed home is $310,000. That is a townhouse at this little community called Breckenridge. And if we look at the pictures here, you can see this is a community that was built, I believe, back in the 80s. And it's a pretty quaint little community. A lot of trees. You can see they have this beautiful brick facade here that you don't see in too many homes. Pretty skinny place here, as you can tell. I do believe, what is the specs on this? Is this 2 beds, 2 baths? 2 beds, 2 baths. So Pretty small place, great place if you're looking for just a small town home here to visit. But that is going to be the low of the day in Gilbert, community called Breckenridge, and the high of last week, rather, not of the day, of last week. So the high is going to be a home in Morrison Ranch that was built by Tri-Point Homes. You can see a pretty snazzy view of it. I believe it's in their new Lakeview Trails community. But yeah, just a massive home here. I remember going into this model. Beautiful home, a nice kind of tin ceiling or something going on with the ceiling there, but beautiful home. And if we look at what the owner purchased this for, so they sold this home for $1.45 million and they purchased it in 2021. So just missed that hit that 2-year mark for tax purposes. Closed after the 30th, making a cool $150,700 in 2 years, more than some household income. So, and of course they did put a pool in, so you know that $150,000 is going to be eaten up by that pool cost, which may have been about, looking at the pictures here. Let's go over, look at the pool. Beautiful home, though, a lot of upgrades. Let's see what that pool's all about, shall we? Nice little side yard there. Yeah, the pool's nothing crazy. I mean, maybe that was $70,000, $80,000 looking at that pool. So pretty, no water features, anything like that, pretty basic. So they still took in a cool profit. You can't complain about that. And finally, it is the holidays. It's the start of the holidays. So where can you guys see really cool holiday lights in Gilbert? Well, if you go to this website right here, I will have a link for it down in the description. Everybody's putting their holiday lights on this particular map right here, so you can go ahead and go to this. One of them that is featured is one that is right down the block from me, and my kids have been hanging out here every weekend. The neighbors have like a fire pit going, probably a lot of candy because they come home totally loaded and crazy, but it is in Power Ranch, and it is on Sleigh Bell and Cozy. So that is a Christmas themed. There's Sleigh Bell, there's streets like Reindeer. It's nuts over there. So it's quite the winter themed street names. So that's at 4335 East Sleigh Bell Lane, and that is our neighbors right there. So come on by, check that out. Another big one that's actually not on this map is in Morrison Ranch. It's called Christmas on Comstock. If you just do a Google search, I'll leave some links down in the description, but if you do a Google search for that, Christmas on Comstock, they do have it where you can drive through. It's a few blocks long, I believe, and then they have the radio station that you set the music to. They'll have certain things playing, like that Electric Lights Orchestra and whatnot. So some really beautiful lights to see here in Gilbert, Arizona, and there's a few other neighborhoods that do it, but not quite to the extreme that Christmas on Comstock does. So be sure to check this out. Once again, I'll leave a link down in the description, and we'll see you guys next week. If you have any real estate needs, feel free to reach out, and we'll probably be throwing a few more videos besides news videos on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and reach out if you have questions.